for checking out the Sportsline Podcast on CHCH and Parrot TV. I'm Bubba O'Neil. As you know, we love speaking to and uncovering amazing sports stories from Southern Ontario, and in particular, the Golden Horseshoe. Today, some insight on the resurrection of professional men's hockey in Hamilton. After losing the AHL Hamilton Bulldogs to the city of St. John's in 2015, a new team is ready to rock and roll at TD Coliseum. Well, training camp begins in September. The regular season starts in early October, but there has been so much on the lead up to the American Hockey League's return to the city of Hamilton. Although the general manager was recently hired, all eyes will be on a familiar face who's returned following a very successful stint with the OHL Brantford Bulldogs to lead the new Hamilton Hammers. He's always been a champion of champion in my mind. So pleased to welcome Jay McKee to the Sportsline Podcast. Jay, great to see you.
Thanks for having me, Bubba. Good to see you again.
Right on. Hey, first of all, congratulations on the new gig. It's got to be an amazing thing to you. AHL level now, a step up from the OHL, of course, in just terms of development and moving a little bit closer to the National Hockey League. How does it feel to be the Hammers head coach?
Well, it's certainly a privilege. I'm very grateful for the opportunity and thankful that Matthew and his management team gave me this responsibility. Hamilton and the area has been a place that I've called home now for the better part of 5 years. So super excited to get going. Having the opportunity to learn from a guy like Pete DeBoer and his extended staff is an incredible opportunity as well. So really excited to get going, meet all the new players, and build those relationships.
I think when we think about your coaching years, obviously we do in this area, obviously think about the good run with Brantford and Hamilton, but we also forget that there was a couple years in Kitchener and Erie as well too, and Niagara going even a little further back as well too as your first real gig as an associate. Do you think where you are right now in the American Hockey League, it's just that progression of learning, development? We always say that about the players, that the OHL is the development league for the players. Do you feel so as a coach now?
Well, yeah, I know it's a fantastic developmental league for the players, but for coaches as well. So to have put over a decade into that league, I grew a great appreciation for how much you learn every year as a coach, how much you learn, going different experiences, whether they're positive or challenges, learning from different staff that you end up working with over the years. So I'm excited for this next step. I mean, hockey is hockey. It's the same game. You're dealing with different situations in pro with older guys, just different scenarios where some guys will be called up, some won't. You're going to have a lot of roster movement, more than you would have in the Ontario Hockey League. You'll have your injuries when the big club has theirs. They're going to call your players up. So there'll be a lot of moving parts, but I'm excited. I'm thrilled, and I'm grateful to have that decade of experience in the Ontario Hockey League. Certainly learned a lot during that time.
I would believe the coaching years at Niagara, at the OHL, at the AHL level right now, wouldn't have happened without your lengthy career in the National Hockey League as an outstanding defenseman, a first-round draft pick. You know, Jay, I had to look back, and not that I'd forgotten, but I had to be reminded about what an outstanding career you had, obviously coming up with the Sabres as well, too. Boy, you know what, there's just a sort of short resume of what you did. When you look at that, does that blow you away many years removed from it?
Yeah, I just, as a kid, I love the game. And when you're younger and you're playing hockey, you're not thinking too far ahead. You just play because you love the sport. And look at that little graphic you have there. It's a lot of years have went by since I retired now, but I'm just grateful for all the memories I made, the experiences I had, the opportunities that were given, and to have made a career out of it. And now on the coaching side of things, to be able to stay in the game and in a sense, give back and help teach the younger generation in the sport I've loved since I was probably 4 years old. Certainly living a dream. It's met a lot of great people along the way, and it doesn't feel like a job coaching. It's a responsibility. You're still competitive, and I'm grateful to be a part of it, especially again in Hamilton.
When you look back at those Sabres moments, because I know you had a couple of years in St. Louis, your final year in Pittsburgh. I mean, I got to ask you this as a Sabres fan, as I have you here. I can think of many highs. I always think of the Carolina loss as a great low. Puck over the boards. Oh, Soupy, what were you thinking? Yeah. But that's Campbell, obviously an outstanding defenseman, which I think you played with as a playing partner as well, too. But, just quickly, a high and a low moment.
Oh, man, so many highs. My time in Buffalo, I was there for 10 years, obviously playing the Stanley Cup Finals in 1999. Going to triple overtime of Game 6, coming that close to winning a Stanley Cup. I mean, we're all in this sport because we're chasing the childhood dream of winning a Stanley Cup. So getting that close, bittersweet memories, but great memories. You mentioned the 2006 year. We had the team. We just ran into the injuries. It was unfortunate losing to Carolina in Game 7 there. And that might have been a low, for me. I got staph infection and a cut and couldn't play Game 7. So that was probably a high and a low. And then obviously unrestricted free agency took me to St. Louis from there. So my time in Buffalo was special. It's become home. It's where that area, a little bit north of Buffalo, is where I have a permanent home and have built so many great relationships within the area. The fans in Buffalo, it's a heck of a sports town for their Bills and their Sabres and other sports, but just so many great memories and great people that I've met along the way in that area and all the areas that I've coached or played. I think that's the best aspect of the sport is the experiences you go through are one thing, but you build so many great relationships.
Well, you talk about relationships, and obviously I understand you to be a guy that was extremely close with the players that you played with and all those teams. But I've come across something that I thought was rather interesting in your final year with Pittsburgh, and it sounded like it went on when all your years in Buffalo, too, that you were a bit of a prankster. When I bring up the picture of this individual, can you please tell our listeners and viewers about something you did with this poor man?
Oh, yeah, we were at the practice rink, and Flower, he's a prankster himself. He was a character. We were at the practice rink. He had a Lamborghini he drove in the one day, and I got off the ice before him and grabbed his keys and hopped in the Lamborghini and parked it on the far side of the arena behind a dumpster just to hide it from him. So then I ran back in, just sat on the couch in the lounge and watched him get dressed, look for his keys, and he went out to look for his car and came back in pretty quick with a little bit of a sweat, and I didn't let him know where it was. I let him fight it out for a bit and do a good lap or two around the arena until he found it. So no, he was a lot of fun, even on the ice. One of the neat things about him, there were scrums right in front of the net where chaos is happening, and he would make these little whoop whoop sounds, and I'd give them back to him in the middle of a scrum. Like, we had a lot of fun together on and off the ice. He's a different breed of human being and athlete, and it was a niche that worked for him, and he was a guy I had a lot of fun with.
Fantastic stuff there, Jay. Why coach? When you wrapped it up in the National Hockey League, you had an extended career. You could have went home. You could have become a teacher. You could have, I understand you love cars. There's a million things you could have done, but you remained in the sport. Yeah. You started coaching, and you got right into it very soon. Why?
Yeah. The passion for the game, and I kind of mentioned earlier, truly what drives me, obviously teaching as a coach and seeing the players that you have move on and have success is special when you see them enjoying and living out their dreams. But truthfully, I think the thing that drives everybody and myself is I still have a goal of trying to achieve winning a Stanley Cup one day. And I understand there's a process to get to the National Hockey League level, and I'm committed as a person and as a coach to working as long and as hard as it takes to try and achieve that one day. And that's the first step to one day trying again. No different than as a player, is putting the time in to improve yourself and the people around you to achieve the highest level possible one day. I'm not in a hurry. I'm excited and grateful for where I am right now. There's a lot of hard work ahead, but what drives me as a player and as a coach is the Stanley Cup. So I'm excited to work with these young men and help improve these guys and look to get them to fulfill their dream of playing in the National Hockey League. And one day down the road, I hope to follow them.
As a coach, do you rely on a lot of your experiences as a player? Do you relay that to the players, or through coaching in the Ontario Hockey League, have the players changed? Do they respect you as what you did in your league?
Well, I really try to avoid talking about myself or experiences I went through. I think the only time that I would bring up anything from my past is if there's a scenario a player is going through that is a type of struggle that maybe I went through. And at the American League level, I spent time in the American League and went through different experiences, saw other guys called up, and so I'll be able to maybe lean on some experiences to get them through maybe some challenges. But you learn so much as a coach. When you're a player, you focus a lot on your job, what you have to do. As a coach, you're overseeing every player in every position. So there is a lot of learning to do when you first get into it. So leaning on the things I did as a player, I think I take more from the coaches that I played under and their systems and things that worked or that didn't work. I think you probably lean a little bit more on those experiences as a coach than your actual own experiences.
I won't speak for you, but I will suggest that I would believe your best experience as a coach in the Ontario Hockey League would be your first year with the Bulldogs. And you had a great run with the Hamilton and Brantford Bulldogs. But that first year, unbelievable Ontario championship for the second time in franchise history and a run to the Memorial Cup. When you think about that year in particular, what comes to mind?
Well, I think what I'm most proud about that year is we came out of the pandemic. So the players were all new to me. They had spent a year off. It took a lot of hard work, a lot of focus on the detail, a lot of teaching to get things dialed in. It didn't just happen right away. It took some time to figure out exactly which line combos work best, to get them dialed into the systems. And once we got that figured out, we were just a well-oiled machine, and there was a lot of buy-in. We really, a core principle of that team was culture, and these are all things that, sort of mirror what's happening with the move back to Hamilton. These will be a lot of new faces for me. It'll take some time to build the relationships and get that trust built with the players. We'll have to go through a lot of video and teaching, and ultimately we want to have a team that plays a similar style, a relentless style, and creative offensive team, stingy defensively, and but that takes time. And looking back on that year, once we got things rolling a couple months in, we were unstoppable. So it does take time, and I'm seeing a lot of similarities with coming back to Hamilton and a lot of new faces, guys that a lot of them I haven't met yet. So a lot of work ahead, but I'm very excited about it.
It really was a magical year. And again, like I said, even the move to Brantford, which could have actually tanked the franchise, there are so many things that happened in that situation, and having to move out of Hamilton and to have the continued success was amazing. But Jay, you said a line that I'd never heard of in my life, and that would have been in St. John. The champion of champions, and I've used it already, and I use it often. Yeah. For those that weren't there, can you explain? Because it in some ways, and I don't know if you meant it, it softened the blow of that loss to St. John's and Sea Dogs in the final.
Yeah, what I meant by that, when I left that dressing room after losing in the Memorial Cup final, the heads were down. There were some tears with the players. It's emotional when you go through such a strong season. You win a championship. You go out there and they're playing their hearts out. A lot of guys are playing through a lot of nicked up bodies, and they left it all out there. And we ran into a home team that had I think it was 50 days in between games, so they're healthy, they were fresh, and they were good. I'm not going to take anything away from that team. They were good. Losing that final, when I talk to the players, you look for a way to to instill the understanding of what they actually did achieve. And we had knocked out the Edmonton, the Western Conference champions, and we needed to win that game in that format in regulation, which we did. Then we went to overtime in the semifinal and knocked out the Q champions. And we were the Ontario Hockey League champions. So essentially, I told the players, keep your heads high when you leave here and be proud. It's you guys are the champion of champions, even though we lost in the final to the home team. So it was just something. And it might have been Steve Staios that said it in the back room, but it was a line that really meant something in the moment.
It's great stuff there, Jay. Back to the hammer. Back to the hammer for the American Hockey League. And how did it all, did they approach you? Was it something you applied for? Was the timing right? How did this all happen?
No, I'd spoken to a few teams over the summer. I had intended on remaining in the Ontario Hockey League until this summer. So the fact that they had moved from Bridgeport to Hamilton, the timing was really good. So I talked to a few teams and met with the management group, did a number of Zooms, went through lengthy video, talked about philosophies, and the fit felt right. I'm grateful that, I know they had a lot of guys that they spoke to, and the fact that they wanted to give this responsibility, great. I'm very grateful for that. But on my end of things, it's humbling to know that you're entrusted with this responsibility, but it worked out very well. It's an area that I've been. It's an arena that I'm familiar with, although it looks incredible and quite different from the last time I was there. The OVG group has done an incredible job with the building. So the fans will be excited about coming into that, just to see the new restaurants and the interior of the arena. Our dressing room and everything is incredible. So it just all worked out, and it's part of the process. You have to put your work in, and if you can have success along the way, and then you go through the interview process, and it's important to be aligned philosophy with the philosophies of the organization, and it all worked out. And it's a great management group, great staff in Long Island, and I'm excited about the group that we put together for Hamilton as well. So very excited about what's ahead here.
I think the key word that you just brought up there is organization. I think with the Brantford Bulldogs or Hamilton Bulldogs, you're kind of like your own ship in a sense, within the Ontario Hockey League. But here, like you talk about, there's the New York Islanders, right? Like as you talked about earlier, players coming up, down, injuries. Maybe some of your best players disappear and then they come back. And you're going to have to deal with all of that and try to keep the Hammers as a winning club as well, too. You just experienced New York Islanders rookie camp. Can you explain how that felt, and being at that level and wearing the Islanders cap and seeing some of their prospects?
Yeah, it was fantastic. And again, going to the development camp, I think the first priority is building relationships, not only with the players, but with the staff as well. Some guys I've known, Bob Bugner I played with years ago. He's an assistant coach with the Islanders. Meeting Pete DeBoer and going through systems with him and kind of picking his brain on why he believes in the things that he believes in. And obviously we want things to be fairly seamless, especially with terminology. When players are called up, they don't want to have to reteach new things there. And a lot of our systems were aligned. There's a number of good things that I picked up from Pete, terminology wise and systems wise. And it's only things that a guy like Pete with his experience, would know. It would take me a lot of years to pick up on these small nuances within the game. So I'm grateful for that opportunity. And then meeting the players. Development camp is an opportunity for these new draft picks and some players from last year to come in and show where they're at. But a lot of it really is building relationships, getting guys to build bonds, having a little bit of fun off the ice. These are guys that are going to be competing for positions on the Islanders, but also a lot of guys that are going to end up being teammates very soon. So development camp was a lot of fun, got a lot of work in it. It was fun to see the intensity that the guys had on the ice.
I'll leave you with this, Jay. you're in a situation right now where, like you said, you're molding minds and young hockey players and some that are going to be stars at this point. If I were to ask you, what is at this point of your career, what is your strength as a coach?
I think as a coach, I'm a teacher. I'm put a lot of time in on breaking down the video, and I'll rewatch every game and put a few hours into it, break down a lot of video, and then teach it. I believe when learning to play the right way gets ingrained into each player on the team, they have to know exactly, what we need from them, what we expect. Obviously, every player is different. You need to teach them. They have to have their identities and play to their roles. But when every player on the team, leaves it out there every night and everyone's dialed in, that takes a lot of work behind the scenes. It takes a lot of teaching day to day. And that's probably my biggest strength is, motivating, teaching, connecting. I'm not a screamer and a yeller on the bench. I don't coach for intimidation. I lean in and I teach, and mistakes are a part of the game. I'm going to lean in and continue to teach and put the time in behind the scenes. So it's worked over the years. Obviously there's time where you have to bring a little bit of fire, and it's usually directed to the team in general, but teaching is probably, and connecting is my major strengths, which for this level especially is huge. We want to develop these guys and give them an opportunity to make the next step and fulfill their dreams of playing in the National Hockey League.
Well, if I remember correctly, you're on the road in Binghamton, and then it's the Marlies in their building, and then back to TD Coliseum for a home-and-home against, I guess they're going to be your rivals, those Toronto Marlies. Boy, that's got to be really have you, obviously you've got training camp and all that, but looking forward to those games, that's got to have you all pumped up.
Oh, I'm very excited for opening weekend. Actually, we're in Belleville for game one.
Belleville, sorry.
That'll be my first pro game as a head coach. Will be against my former assistant coach, and Andrew Campbell, who was with me in Hamilton and won a championship there as well. So that'll be a fun start. And then we'll have the former Calder Cup champions in town and with Toronto. And let's get at it right away. I'm excited.
Jay, I'm really excited, and congratulations. I think the opportunity is so deserved for you. Elliot Friedman was bringing your name up with the Flyers job and all kinds of stuff, and I'm sure you don't even listen to that kind of stuff. But you see your progression, and again, I'm going back to the Sabres years as well too. Really proud of you, and looking forward to seeing what you do here in Hamilton as our AHL team kicks off in October. So congratulations, and we look forward to talking to you and your teammates as well too.
Yeah, thanks, Bubba. It's great talking to you again. I look forward to seeing you again here real soon.
All right, folks, that's your Sportsline Podcast for the day. And if you've just seen and heard, we love talking sports. If you do know of an athlete, team, or event to promote the Sportsline Podcast, you want to hear from you. Please hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe button if you have something to say. We always appreciate your comments. For the wonderful people that make the Sportsline Podcast possible, make it look so good. Thank you so very much, and we'll see you real soon.